Oh my god, it's Q1, everyone. Of course, the laptops are coming in. I hope you're doing well this afternoon. Max Verstappen does a 1 minute 56. I don't know when it's been raining. Well, it's not been raining apparently, but yet I'm trying to look at a track map. Have they done any modifications to the track, or is it just really early on? I think it's really early on, but obviously with no Chatter HD streaming, I am going to be waiting for people to come in. Hello, this is Crystal Racing doing the live stream for this afternoon's Belgian Grand Prix qualifying. Max Verstappen, you must remember, has a penalty for an engine change. So, thank you for the like. He will not be qualifying on pole position, regardless of how fast he is today. So, I hope you're doing well, everyone who's joining in. I'm going to ask you, who will take pole here at Belgium? All I'm going to say is I'd be very surprised if Ferrari got pole today. That's all I'm going to say. Got 8 minutes to go, folks. Of course, I think I'm really confused. Why are these laptops so slow? Is everyone going to be waiting until the last minute to get those lap times in or something? Norris appears to be favourite so far. I hope you're doing well wherever you are in the world. Of course, if you've seen the news headlines, Matteo Binotto is going to join the F1 Audi F1 project for 2026, with Andres Seidel stepping down. Max is set for a 10-place grid penalty. Hello there, say Regara. Ricky Martin reference. Thank you very much. Esteban Ocon, as you've probably heard, has joined Haas. Very interesting career move. Although it has to be said, I don't really think Haas is. I think it's very much safe to say Ocon is probably going to be stuck at Haas until his career ends around maybe 2029 or 2030. All I'm going to say is Ocon is going to have to do some very special things at Haas if he wants to use the team as a launch pad to join a better team in the sport. Then, of course, you've got oh yeah, the whole Lando Norris Piastri saga. I think I'm gonna do a very, very special quick video once qualifying ends to give my thoughts on that whole thing. And I'm gonna have to explain myself about what I really think. I mean, to summarise my thoughts, Lando Norris is basically confirming himself as a number 2 driver when he decided to let Piastri pass. I know on merit Piastri deserved to win the race, but with Norris being further ahead in the championship, you've got a really ruthless number 1 driver like Schumacher, Senna, Prost, Pete, Vettel, Verstappen, Hamilton, you name it, would never do such a thing. They would never allow their teammate to get past, even if, quote unquote, their teammate was the better driver on the day. I'm just saying, I know obviously Michael Schumacher had that kerfuffle with Barrichello at the 2002 Austrian Grand Prix where Barrichello had to what was it? Crew room at what was it? I know yeah, Schumacher and Barrichello had that kerfuffle over the 2002 Austrian Grand Prix win, which meant that Schumacher allowed Barrichello to win a few races later on in the season, but you have to realise that that was more because of the bad reception Schumacher received. But of course, in every season that came after that, Schumacher went back to actually racing Barrichello and making sure that Barrichello was well beaten. Oh yeah, I've just remembered, of course, it's been raining this morning, so of course the track is damp, everyone's on intermediate tyres, and when you look at that, Max Verstappen is well on top. And wait a minute. Wait, was there a crew room quiz? I didn't even know there was a crew. Wait, Josh Stokes in the crew room quiz, and I didn't even know I was involved in the crew room quiz. Like, was there a Q&A or something? Like, I don't even know. Like, was he asking me questions? Like, I swear to God, I don't remember being involved in Josh Stokes' Moaning Yorkshireman crew room quiz. I have no idea what was that all about. Was I involved? I'm not being funny, by the way. I'm actually, like, really confused. My God, I think obviously if Max Verstappen didn't have the penalty, I think Max would be probably on course to dominate this weekend. But of course, thanks to the grid penalty, no, he can't. And it has to be said, the Honda Red Bull powertrain system isn't actually. Oh, it was some guy called Blah that was in 8th place. Okay, so that definitely wasn't me. But yeah, like I said, the Honda powertrain unit at Red Bull isn't that reliable. And of course, I know that Tsunoda's also been having to change his power unit parts recently. Power units. Yeah, I think obviously the Red Bull Honda powertrain system has got a problem, but of course we all know that Red Bull will only be having to deal with Honda until the end of course, 2025. So I don't think they'll exactly fall out over it like we saw with Honda and McLaren back in 2015. GP2, 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 GP2. Oh, right. Okay, so when F1 Gaming made up a guy named Crystal Racing, okay, I get it now. But I suppose for their own entertainment, they have to, like, include someone like me because I don't think that many people actually participate in Josh's quiz, to be honest, because we all have our own separate lives. And unfortunately, Josh doesn't have a big community due to the fact that he doesn't commit full time to his race reviews. I mean, the problem with Josh is that I think if he started doing videos about like F1 history and like talking about driver analysis and stuff like that, I think his subscriber base would go up significantly. And I think if he even did a few live streams like I'm doing right now, he would obviously have way more subscribers than what he's got. So yeah, I mean, his actual quizzes would actually involve way more people, but of course it doesn't. I haven't even got a clue he does quizzes, so I think Piastri could get pole. Yeah, I think you do get the feeling Lando Norris has basically become a David Coulthard at McLaren. And just so you know, the rain is, I think, by the looks of it, is intensifying. So I don't think, we're not going to be seeing any changes in position. I think George Russell is in trouble. How did I not realise? George Russell is in trouble, folks. He is in 17th place. He needs a lap. Russell needs to do a lap now. This is a complete disaster for Russell. But surprisingly, Nico Hulkenberg is actually the slowest guy on track. But of course, Leclerc just showed us that there is lap time available. And he's just gone second fastest, 4 tenths behind Max. Oh, and Russell's out to third, which puts Tsunoda into the drop zone ahead of Sargeant, the two Saubers, and Hulkenberg. Yeah, I think the thing is, though, with Coulthard is that I think Hakkinen started to enter his, real, purple zone, started to become the one who was, on top of was clearly McLaren's number one. And, of course, the thing with Coulthard is that even when he did challenge Schumacher for the championship, even though, yes, he was, his season was marred by multiple mechanical failures and stalling on the grid at the start of, Monaco and Spain, and a first lap collision with Trulli at Silverstone, and then, of course, an early mechanical failure at Hockenheim. It never felt like Coulthard was really capable of taking a championship fight to Schumacher in 2001. And the moment when Kimi Räikkönen appeared the following year, it was pretty obvious these days as McLaren's new number one was always going to be short-lived. Gasly's gone second fastest. Oh, damn, he's finding lap times today. That's what. And Piastri's the fastest man on track. A new 1 minute 54.8. 54.8, everyone. Oh my god. Sainz in the drop zone. Sainz needs to get his lap in. Norris is in trouble. He needs to get over the line. Ricciardo 8th. Norris, Sainz are going to be coming over to the line. So will be... Oh, Norris has only gone 11th. Sainz up to 5th. Oh my god, Norris and Hamilton are in deep trouble now. And of course, Norris' session is done. Tsunoda is out. Cannot improve his lap time. He's down in 18th. Bottas is up to 11th. What can Zhou do? No change to his lap time. Both horses have gone. And Norris and Hamilton survived by the skin of their teeth. That is on another day. Just saying, on another day, Norris and Hamilton would have fallen into deep trouble. Why does my screen look so blurry today? Is it something... Is it because of the sunlight coming in? So weird. I am struggling with my camera position today, sorry. Hello there, username 132. I hope you are doing well here at Crystal Racing. Of course, Piastri has gone fastest in Q1. Of course, the 5 cars are out. Oh, the 2 horses of Hulkenberg and Magnussen, who, of course, are not exactly... don't actually have the fastest car when it comes to qualifying. Why the hell am I getting a VPN advert? Then, of course, it's Tsunoda, Zhou of Sauber, and, of course, the 2. And I think Logan Sargeant's also gone out. Yeah, Gasly second in Q1. And why on earth am I seeing this advert? I do apologise. Of course, I think, obviously, a lot of YouTubers are making money now when it comes to subscriptions, knowing that these live streams do make have a lot of attention. I'm going to have to go and find someone else because that is just annoying me. That is absolutely ridiculous. Just so you know, this is an advert-free zone since, of course, I don't have anywhere near enough subscribers of the like. And, oh, look at this. The graphics are way better here. Hulkenberg apparently did do a purple sector in his final lap, but yeah, Tsunoda, Sargeant, and Zhou have also gone out. Of course, I think I did remember seeing Sargeant. Yep. Ocon and Ollie Behrman is going to be one hell of a partnership. There's going to be some serious fireworks since, of course, we all know that this is probably going to be the first time in his career that Esteban Ocon will be the default team leader at the team he's driving for. But of course, I'm pretty certain that if Behrman is anywhere near as good as what people say he is, it's going to get very tasty very soon. And I have to say, Ocon has only ever beaten one teammate at end-of-year team drivers' rankings, which is, of course, the 2022 season against Fernando Alonso. Of course, Gasly outscored him last season. I think Gasly is on course to outscore him again this season due to how slow the Alpine is. Lots of people still think Norris is the #1 driver at McLaren, despite, of course, the fact he conceded victory in such a bizarre way last weekend. I mean, you have to realise with Red Bull's problems, I think you have to wonder, like, surely McLaren should be trying to capitalise upon the Red Bull's issues, but because McLaren do have the fastest car on the grid, but I do think they have a problem like what Williams had with Montoya and Ralf Schumacher back in the early 2000s, and that I think especially during 2003, Williams had the best car in the grid in F1, but of course they didn't have the drivers to execute their chances and capitalise on having the best car in the grid, since neither Ralf Schumacher nor Montoya were team leaders of any sort. Then, and I think, you know, you look back at Williams back in the past. Oh, right. So apparently Zhou and Verstappen were involved in the incident during Q1, and replay showed Hamilton getting blocked at some point in Q1. Oh, yes, because of the rain. Of course, Q2 has now started, folks. Of course, the bottom 5 drivers are all out. They will not be continuing. Hello there, Roxford. I hope you're doing very well this afternoon. Of course, I haven't had a lot of sun this week in Britain. Seems like the sun has gone out elsewhere. What was I going to say? Yeah, McLaren, I think I've got a real catch-22. Just like Williams in 2003, they had the best car on the grid, but their drivers just don't seem to have those leadership qualities that we see with many top drivers like Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel, Schumacher, Senna, Prost in the past. And I know David Coulthard made a comment about saying, oh, he was threatened with his seat when he was told to move over at the 1997 European Grand Prix and the 1998 Australian Grand Prix when he was teammates with Mika Häkkinen, but a real #1 driver would not care about that. That's all I'm saying. They'll be like, let me win or fire me. And hello there, Kiefer Chua. I've not seen you for a long time. I obviously was in the middle of speaking, but I saw your message, so I had to finish off my sentence. Paragraph more like, but I hope you're doing very well, Kiefer. I didn't see you last weekend, which was a bit of a surprise, but I think the 2-week gap between Silverstone and Hungary probably made a few people forget that I still do live streams. And I think the football has also took my attention away, so obviously I've not been live streaming that much on this channel. 2003 was a Schumacher-Barrichello title. As a driver pairing, yeah, I would say those two were better than what Ralph Schumacher and Montoya were as a driver pairing, but you have to realise that Williams, BMW had the best package in 2003, absolutely, but I think, 2003, I think, is the year that completely damaged the Williams-BMW partnership relationship for God, because, of course, BMW were absolutely infuriated with how Williams couldn't manage the championship fight, and Williams were infuriated with BMW for their lack of reliable engines. So, come the end of 2005, of course, Williams and BMW broke up. BMW went and bought out the Sauber team. Of course, Ralph and Montoya had already departed Williams at the end of 2004. So, and I think if you look through Williams' domination in Formula One between like 1980 to about 1997, none of their drivers ever managed to win more than one championship with the team, which is absolutely remarkable, to say the least. It is really strange to think about, but it does show you that Williams struggling to maintain good relations with the likes of Alan Jones, Carlos Reutemann, Keke Rosberg. They had an okay relationship, but eventually he left them for McLaren. They definitely fell out with Nelson Piquet, who was infuriated by the fact that Frank Williams had an equal driver policy, and Honda were too angry about the fact that they allowed Mansell to take wins off Piquet. So both Piquet and Honda departed Williams and went to Lotus together. Mansell obviously then fell out with Williams after 1992 because the team wanted Adam Prost to the team. Prost likewise departed when the team told him they wanted Ayrton Senna for 94. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Dave Huxter. Yeah, Dave Huxter does a stream. Oh, right. So some guy named some bot named War wins because he's the only one who doesn't have any delay. Okay, so it's probably someone role-playing as my former username. I mean, yeah, I know Frank Williams knew how to build a team from the ground up, but he didn't know how to maintain a relationship with the people he was working with. He brought in as employees like the drivers, the engineers, and the engine companies. Of course, there were only two notable exceptions in, Patrick Head and, of course, Adrian Newey, but that's because Patrick Head was obviously a shareholder in the team, and Adrian Newey was constantly deciding the fastest cars on the grid. And then, of course, when Damon Hill won the championship in 1996, they then decided to bin Damon Hill off for Frentzen. So, and then, of course, a year after Villeneuve won Williams' most recent driver championship, I know the word recent doesn't sound sort of a bit weird to say, but I mean, 1997 is Williams' most recent driver win. Oh, right, yeah, I know. There's always like people role playing as characters and making bot names up. I know, I get it, Will. Yeah, I think in these damp conditions, I have to say Max and Red Bull have got the fastest driver car package, but of course, Max has got a penalty, so he will not be qualifying on pole. So I think the two McLarens have got to be favourite to take pole position this afternoon. What was I going to say? Williams, yeah, they kept falling out with people, and of course their relationship with Ralf Schumacher and Montoya also ended in turmoil. And if you've noticed, like, ever since Williams broke up with BMW, like, the only, like, so-called long-term teammate partnership they had in the team since 2004 was, of course, Felipe Massa and Valtteri Bottas driving for them between 2014 to 2016. But of course, the problem with Williams is that since 2006, they've not been in a relationship with any they haven't had a factory engine deal since 2005 when BMW were last with them. So yeah, that's probably why, of course, Williams have no longer been a top team for so many years. Yeah, but the thing is, though, of course, McLaren have got a much faster car this year, so we're not going to be seeing what Max Verstappen did during like 2022, where obviously he was able to like start 10th, 11th at like Spa and Hungary and still win the race. Like, Red Bull's pace advantage has completely diminished. Mr. Controversial Jr. is back. Oh my god. Okay. Let's not start this fight again, you two. I don't want to hear any more infighting being brought over to my channel. This is not the Moaning Yorkshireman's YouTube channel, folks. Oh, right, is it Keith Chua, the one who brings... I don't know who's seen as the controversial figure in this community, but... where do you think Max would finish if Max didn't drive like a Max? I think finishing on a podium in third place would be a good result for Max, and I think as long as the championship deficit between himself and Norris doesn't get reduced too much, I think Max will probably accept the result. Obviously, he's not the type of person who is pleased whenever he fails to win, but Max is probably going to have to accept third place at best tomorrow. I think third place would be a decent result for Red Bull, considering they don't have the fastest car on the grid anymore. And Perez, well, we all know Red Bull needs Sergio Perez to perform tomorrow. Hell, you could say that McLaren this year in 2024 is a similar situation as what Williams used to be in back in the 80s and 90s, but only that, you could say they're in the same situation as what Nedzo's F1 Grid Box. Oh yeah, I've seen that channel. He did a video the other day about Damon Hill only having 2 good races in his own career. I don't know what to say about that. Like, I know obviously 1994 Japan sticks out David Hill's career, but you have to realise that was arguably an exceptional drive from David Hill, considering that Michael Schumacher actually had the faster car in the latter stages of that race in the pouring rain, and yet David Hill did just enough to win on aggregate. So, and you have to realise, of course, I think Schumacher was leading when the race had been red flagged halfway through the race, and then what was it, David Hill took the lead at the restart, but of course he had to win by like 10 seconds to ensure he won the race or something very complicated due to the mass involved. I think it's a bit wrong to say David Hill was like a bang average driver, because of course behind the scenes, of course, after Senna was deleted at Imola, he had to become team leader, and he became responsible for technical development, leading course on strategy. And you have to realise, considering his near miss at the end of 1994 and the fact he did fairly well in his first season relative to Prost, I think he just about deserved a world championship to his name, even if, of course, he was never that particularly spectacularly quick or nor the most unbelievably consistent at times. And I think he did have a habit of pushing a bit too hard to try and make up for his lack of natural feel for the car. You know, I can't remember, and I think some of his incidents, like hitting Schumacher on a lot of occasions, did mar his reputation. I mean, thing is, though, of course, when David Hill left Williams at the end of 96, he had only just turned 36 years old, which back then was not considered to be particularly old for an F1 driver. So even though Villeneuve did win the championship the following year, I just think David Hill would have had a much smoother run to the championship than what Villeneuve had. But of course, I think Williams obviously saw Jacques Villeneuve and Frenton as the future of their team, due to, of course, David Hill getting older. But of course, with Williams losing Adrian Newey due to the fact that Williams were not the type of team to ever pander to a single individual like we've seen with Ferrari, with Schumacher, Red Bull with Vettel and Verstappen, and Mercedes with Hamilton. Of course, I think what I'm trying to say is that Williams never built a platform to have a team revolving around a dominant brand name, like a real top big brand name. Like, Williams were always more interested in buying drivers who had already established themselves, like Prost and Senna. I mean, of course, once those two disappeared, then of course they were left to go after the likes of David Hill, Villeneuve, and of course Frentzen. I think a big mistake Williams made after 2000 and after Villeneuve and Frentzen left was to then continue signing drivers of a lesser stature like Ralf Schumacher and Montoya, despite the fact that those two were already, in their late 20s. I mean, I arguably think that obviously with all the big names having left the sport after the early 90s, with only Michael Schumacher being the big name in F1, Michael Schumacher being the only big name, the thing to do after that was to go and get a big young talent like Kimi Räikkönen or Fernando Alonso. Williams actually had a young talent in Jenson Button, but for some reason, due to their contract with Montoya, it meant that they decided to make Button the sacrificial lamb, even though, and look, I know Jenson Button never appeared to be the fastest guy in F1, but yeah, sorry, I don't know. I know some people might be getting annoyed at my rant. I'm going to have to repeat this rant afterwards. I'm going to have to do a separate podcast for the whole McLaren situation again at some point, but I know Button wasn't as talented as Raikkonen and Alonso, but you have to realise that Williams should have been able to make Button their future team leader, and I think BMW would have been more impressed had they tried to stick with a youngster and try and build him up. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, thankfully for McLaren, they do have two youngish drivers in Norris and Piastri, where I think Norris is only, 24 years old, and Piastri is going to be he's already turned 23 years old. So it's not quite as bad as Williams going after middle-aged drivers on a regular basis and then eventually realising they had no long-term platform to develop the team. Someone told Dave about the DRS Train podcast. I don't know. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I keep forgetting who the hell runs that podcast. Sorry. Carlos Sainz is in the drop zone, folks. Gasly is obviously going to be going out, but of course he's an Alpine. But Ocon's in 7th. Oh my God, our lap times are getting really close. But Gasly, Sainz, Ricciardo, Bottas, and Stroll are out. Oh, Sainz has just gone 4th. Albon is in the drop zone. Albon's going out. Oh my word, so that's Gasly down to 12th. And Perez is only 3 thousandths of a second faster than Albon. I'm trying to see, is Perez... Oh, Perez has already crossed the line. Yeah, his lap is done. I think Perez and Ricciardo's Q2 is over. I'm going to see. What I'm trying to say is that McLaren need to establish a number 1 between Norris and Piastri from now on, because otherwise they will risk turning themselves into Williams, where they never really commit to anyone. They want to try and put the team first, but they don't realise that in F1, especially in modern F1, they need to commit to a driver. Oh yeah, Alex Albon should be on the lap. He's down in 11th. I think Bottas and Stroll try to finish their laps off, but I think this session is almost finished now, folks. But I don't know if Albon is on the fastest lap yet, but what's my most unpopular opinion? I think it's always going to be, I don't know, Daniel Ricciardo could have won the 2021 championship had he remained at Red Bull. That's definitely got to be my least popular opinion. Although, of course, my opinion that Kimi Räikkönen was the best driver in F1 between 2003 and 2007 is a close second. Yeah. I know there were a few Charles Leclerc fans that were annoyed when I said Carlos Sainz is a better driver than Leclerc, but that opinion was surprisingly a lot more popular than I actually realised. Okay, so yeah, Albon, Gasly, Ricciardo, Bottas, and Stroll out in Q2. And of course, Perez, for the first time in quite a few races, has made it to Q3, which I know it's not impressive, but considering Perez's form recently, that is a massive improvement, and I think he will be mightily relieved to be getting into the third qualifying session. Dude, Kimi definitely had the ability to put Schumacher and Alonso on their rosters when he had the car to do so. Kimi, you know this, could have been a 2003 champion, a 2005 champion, and hell, even maybe a 2008 champion had Ferrari not mucked around with the rear suspension that season, or the front suspension. The pull rod design suspension did cause Kimi issues. That's all I'm trying to say. I mean, between 1995 to about 2002, I would consider Michael Schumacher to be the best outright driver in the sport, with only Mika Häkkinen being his true threat, drawing like 1998 to about 2000. But I think obviously Häkkinen was assisted by a lightning fast McLaren at the time, and of course Schumacher's leg break in '99. The other problem Vettel had in 2017 was, of course, reliability. His car broke down in Malaysian qualifying, so he had to start last, and he could only finish fourth. And then, of course, his car broke down at the start of the Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka. So, I mean, realistically, like, Vettel needed to avoid making those mistakes and, of course, have bulletproof reliability in 2017, which, of course, neither of those things happened. So, if buts and maybes, I'm afraid. And the same can be said for 2018. But we've already talked about Vettel's debacle at Ferrari many times now. I think that's pretty much beating a dead horse, and I hope Sebastian Vettel is having a happy retirement wherever he is. I mean, I know he was doing like a few car tests with Porsche for like the sports car program. I don't know whether Vettel is going to commit to sport car racing, but you know, I think maybe he's happy just staying out of motorsport. You know what? I'm going to have to draw the curtains. Can you see better now? I mean, that's a bit better, I think. Oh my god. Wait, if Formula One was the Olympics, France would have the most medals. What do you mean? Like, oh right, you were talking about podiums. Oh, right. Well, yeah, because obviously with an F1 race, of course, they do award trophies out down to third place, which is obviously, um, yeah. I hope you're doing very well, Predator X3. Well, now that I've drawn the curtains, my camera is doing a lot better, thank you very much. So, yeah, and of course, Q3 is underway. Of course, Hamilton. I don't know what's going on with these lap times. I mean, has anyone said? No one said lap yet in Q3. Evidence has the fifth most goals. Yeah, that's obviously because he's got the fifth most career wins in F1. My God, I'm trying to think. Wait, no, the Netherlands. Oh, right, yeah, because obviously as a nation, they've won the fifth most races since, of course, all of their race victories come from the same driver. Yes, you're all correct. I was for a moment thinking of how many wins he's got in comparison to Vettel, Hamilton, and Schumacher, which, of course, he is already ranked as the third most successful driver in terms of race wins. So technically, Max Verstappen is already standing in the bronze medal position at the age of just 26 years old for most career F1 wins, remarkably enough. Yeah, I mean, that is crazy to think that France, as a nation, has got the third most number of podiums in F1 history, which is frankly completely bonkers if you ask me, but I don't know what to even say about that. I mean, I've always had the idea that there actually should be an Olympic event for single-seater motorsport. Of course, I think the event should be like, basically, we should cram like 6 races all within the space of 2 days at a single venue, like somewhere near like Port Magny-Cours. But of course, everyone gets to use Formula 2 spec Delora cars, and then of course the race can be labelled as the A1 World Olympic Grand Prix event. I don't know whether the A1 Grand Prix is allowed to be revived. I don't know who shares the copyrights to that name, but I mean, I think once every 4 years there should be a very special Olympic Grand Prix event being held where, of course, the guy who scores the most points, the nation who scores the most points after 6 races gets to win the Olympic gold medal. And of course, you can use as many as 2 or 3 drivers if you want during this race weekend. But of course, you will be allowed to use just 1 driver if that is your preference. Yeah, France has only ever had 1 world champion, Alain Prost. What was I going to try and say? Hamilton. Who's going to act? Has anyone said lap time yet? There's still a lot of rain on the track, apparently. What's going on with the lap times? I can't. I know Finland has like one hell of an amazing record if you consider their small population size and the fact they've only ever had like 9 drivers enter an F1 race, but yet 3 of those drivers have become a world champion and 5 of them have won a race, and 7 of those 9 drivers have stood on the podium. Hamilton and Russell go first and second, but of course the lap time is just a 1:54.4 from both of them. Yeah, Australia's basically like in 8th place, but of course we have to realise Australia does have a 30 million people population, and they do have their own motorsport series like supercars and all that, so they're not exactly like an underdog when it comes to motor racing like Finland or like Finland. I think come like 5th or 6th in the all-time nations ranking. But of course, the problem with F1, of course, is that everyone has to use a different car brand. So of course, an Olympic Grand Prix would also involve everyone using the same spec of chassis and engine and tyres, like you saw with A1 Grand Prix back between 2005 and 2009, in order to ensure that no nation has like some huge advantage like you see in F1. Since of course in F1, the top teams are always going after the top drivers, and of course Max Verstappen has gone fastest, but of course he will start 11th if this stands. I mean, Perez is doing better, but he is still 6 times slower than Max, so well, that's a surprise because, of course, in my options, I put down the 2 McLarens and the 2 Mercedes as my favourites to take pole position. But yeah, Germany since 1994 has been absolutely amazing. I mean, Germany are almost like the French national football team when it comes to international tournaments like the World Cup and the Euros, in that since 1998 onwards, they have suddenly blown up in stature and success. Whilst before 1998, I think they only ever had one tournament win at the Euro 1984 tournament, and of course, back then, right until 98, they were basically seen as being like what England are seen as today, in that they were seen as being massive underachievers. Yeah. Perez is on used tyres, thanks for that. Well, I've got something to tell you, Keith Chua. I do have a separate channel. If you go on my community chat tab, I do have a football page called Encore Football, where, of course, you will be free to talk about football as much as you like there. Of course, you will see, say, Regara visit the comment sections very regularly there as well. I'm just saying, in regards to McLaren and the team orders thing, is that they are in a precarious position like Williams were in the early 2000s when they had Montoya and Ralf Schumacher as their driver lineup. And of course, that Williams factory engine deal. But they also have a similar problem to what Lotus had during like the late 60s and most of the 70s, where Colin Chapman, for some reason, decided to allow Ford to sell their Cosworth DFV engines to all the other teams on the grid, which meant that Lotus never had the luxury of being a factory 4 team. And of course, whilst yes, some of their drivers obviously had problems like Clark and Real being deleted in action, Graham Hill getting old, turning 40 years old, so they had to move him on. And then, of course, the fact that the likes of Fittipaldi and Mario Andretti decided to move on to another team like McLaren and Alfa Romeo. Of course, Lotus, I think, are another big team who failed to capitalize on their potential to dominate Formula One. Of course, the only reason why they would end up winning so many championships was mostly because of Colin Chapman's car designing skills. But of course, I think, like I said before, like we've seen with Ferrari and Schumacher, Red Bull, Vettel and Verstappen, and of course Mercedes and Hamilton, brand continuity and recognition is also key in F1, as well as, of course, stability. Like when Ferrari and Schumacher combined together to win those 5 championships, they literally set the blueprint for modern F1 success. And that's a lesson that the likes of Colin Chapman at Lotus and, of course, Frank Williams never learnt in their time in F1, I'm afraid. Rest in peace, their souls, but, you know. And I would also like to say, can we please not turn this into a football chat? Because I think, I know we all like to watch football here, but I think it's a little bit off topic. Of course, I know William Red Bull are basically are pretty much on course to get 1-2 in this qualifying session, unless, of course, Hamilton, Norris, and whoever it is can pull off a miracle in the last few final lap. I don't want to turn this into a football chat, so unfortunately, some of your comments have to be deleted, I'm afraid, because I don't actually want you talking about football. Just so you know, most of Eastern Europe, except for Ukraine, are not war-torn countries, unless, of course, you still count the Yugoslav war as having had a legacy on that region. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't want you to be putting comments like that in the chat either. I'm sorry, Kiefer, and I'm sorry, Say, but your comments must be, oh, right, you don't even watch football. Okay, so, I mean, I don't even know why yet. Oh my god, Hiya Humuka Kang Tang. Yeah, I hope you're doing well, but like I said, this is an F1 channel, so Charles Leclerc goes second fastest. Of course, now you've completely distracted me. I didn't even realise Charles Leclerc had gone second fastest. But still just over on the 6 tenths slower than Verstappen, and of course, the 2 drivers who I did not include in my poll, Leclerc and Perez, will be sitting on the front row of the grid tomorrow. Oh my god, grief. Is there any more drivers coming over the grid, over the line? Is there anyone doing new lap times? No, Hamilton's gone into pits. Verstappen's doing set the purple sector 3, but well, I mean, Hamilton has out-qualified Russell. The 2 McLarens will be sourcing 5th and 4th in what has to be a very disappointing qualifying round for both the McLarens. My God. Russell will start 6th alongside the Australian driver who's also picked up his first career win last weekend. Sainz 7th, Alonso 8th. His best qualifying result for along with, of course, Hungary for a couple of races now. Ocon 9th. Alex Albon will start 10th. 11th will be Gasly. Ricciardo will start 12th alongside the Frenchman. 13th and 14th will be Bottas and Stroll. Row 8 will be an all-American affair with the two horses of Hulkenberg and Magnussen, who will be leaving Haas at the end of this season. And it will be a free agent when the season ends. 17th and 18th, Tsunoda and Sargeant. Tsunoda will be horribly disappointed with his efforts this afternoon. Oh no, sorry, I forgot. No, yeah, Verstappen will be starting 11th. Let me just read out the order yet again. So behind Ocon and Albon on the 5th row, who will be starting 9th and 10th. Max will be starting 11th alongside his old teammate Gasly. And then, of course, as you can see from below, of course, 13th down to 14th, 15th, 16th will remain as they are. I don't know why on earth I got carried away in thinking the likes of Hulkenberg and Magnussen will move up a position, because I realised it is 10th-place grid penalty for Max Verstappen. I beg your pardon. I am really sorry for being so carried away. But of course, Charles Leclerc is your pole position winner. I beg your pardon. What on earth was I daydreaming of? Yeah, of course. I don't know why I thought everyone in the bottom, everyone below Albon would move up a position. That was absolutely stupid. Of course, Albon's the one who gets to go to the top 10 despite being knocked down Q2. Lots of things to talk about in this video. Of course, I talked about the Paul McLaren situation with the team orders and their lack of #1 driver status. How Williams fell apart after 2003 and their BMW engine deal. How Lotus fell apart after the 1970s due to allowing Ford to sell engines to everyone on the grid. How McLaren capitalised on having the likes of Prost, Senna and Niki Lauda at their team to become one of the most dominant teams in F1 back then. And then subsequently with Mika Hakkinen in the late 90s. Of course, I also talked about how Ferrari's loyalty to Schumacher and likewise Red Bull's commitment to Vettel and Verstappen has yielded them so much success. And of course, Adrian Newey, how can I forget? And of course, how Mercedes capitalised on having Lewis Hamilton, getting someone like Michael Schumacher to help them out, made him a big team along with Ross Brawn. And then, of course, having Lewis Hamilton to come in to capitalise on all their potential, along with James Allison and Andy Cowell. Yeah, McLaren have definitely bottled this, and I have said this, McLaren are in danger of turning into what Williams became after 2003, where they threw away the chance of winning a championship with the fastest car on the grid, and then they went back to being a midfield team. So, yeah, of course, with Red Bull and Ferrari surely sharpening their knives for the next 2 or 3 years, I think, I think McLaren really need to do something with their driver situation between Norris and Piastri and make a choice between who's going to be their #1. Would it be Norris, the guy in front of the championship, or the potential young star in Piastri? And of course, oh wow, don't know what happened there, but yeah, Perez will be starting 9th. Oh, what on earth happened there? Sorry about that. Yeah, what was I talking about? I apologise. Since you don't trust McLaren, who do I think wins tomorrow? I think Sergio Perez has a good chance of winning tomorrow, Kiefer. I actually think Perez could win the race tomorrow. Of course, I apologise for my TV going off so dramatically. I mean, Ferrari, the problem with Leclerc is he's just not very consistent this season, and we all know what Ferrari are like with strategy, and they just keep messing it up all the time. Ferrari got pole. Hello there, Pamir. I hope you're doing well this afternoon. Of course, my TV screen has completely gone off. Oh, what a nightmare. I'm sorry for losing the pictures like that. We could get 8 different winners tomorrow. Absolutely. Of course, Leclerc and Perez on pole on the front row. Oh, dear. Okay, I've had quite a few problems with the TV. I'm going to screw all of that. I hope you're all doing well, of course. Nice Kimi Räikkönen Ferrari picture there, my friend Pamir. So, hilariously, no one in my poll got pole position, which is... That's just damn right hilarious. But of course, Leclerc and Perez are all your front row sitters. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next time.